Go ahead. Make my day.
Long live the king. You killed him. No. I am your father.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. Ah!
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hello, everyone. This is Obsolete 2003 here, and I am with Augie the Froggy.
Hey,
Yes, this is not so sleepy time gameplay summer break edition. We come to you with our movie corner discussion time. Just in time, or depending, for Father's Day, we decided to look back at a movie called Ad Astara?
Astra, Ad Astra.
Ad Astra? Oh yeah, I guess that's,
Yeah, it came out in 2019.
yes. So, a few years old, but yes, there's a movie with what, Brad Pitt?
Yeah, and real quick, Ad Astra translates. It's Latin and it translates to the stars. And I saw this movie back in the Movie Pass days. Did you end up seeing this in theaters or no?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay, so it was different because I usually don't see too big budget of movies, but since I had the Movie Pass, this was one of the movies I saw. And it kind of was a to me it was kind of a cross between Field of Dreams and Apocalypse Now,
Hmm.
and I guess it's makes sense because I guess this movie and Apocalypse Now are both based on the same book, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad.
Hmm. Definitely
Mm,
different takes of the same book.
yeah, but I felt it was a good Father's Day movie considering this will probably come out sometime around Father's Day, this recording.
That's the goal, yes.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah,
say
look
what
out for the
we didn't say what
yeah,
Father's Day year, so
yeah. Look out for the Mother's Day edition coming soon too.
might be early, might be late.
Yeah. And like you were saying, this stars Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones is on this one, and Donald Sutherland and Liv Tyler.
No, it's pretty small cast, but I mean there's others in the background, but that's pretty much the core of the cast.
Yeah, and this was directed by some guy named James Gray. And I just wrote down from IMDb a couple of movies he's done.
Hmm.
I guess he's known for this. I guess one of his first movies called Little Odessa. He also did the movie We Own the Night with Joaquin Phoenix, and I think Mark Wahlberg is in that one as well.
Hmm.
He did a movie called The Lost City of Z, which I thought was a zombie movie, but it's not a zombie movie. Are
It's
you
not?
familiar with the Lost? No, the Lost City of Z.
No, I am not familiar with that movie. That was my first assumption as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a zombie movie with Brad Pitt or something as well.
Yeah, that's
But
World War Z, but okay.
I thought it was like some type of spin-off or some type of sequel or some prequel thing.
Hmm.
And he's currently working on a movie called Armageddon Time, which should come out sometime this year. It's a coming of age movie about growing up in Queens in the 1980s, and it's going to star Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, and Anthony Hopkins. And I guess it's been getting pretty good buzz at the Cannes Film Festival and stuff.
Hmm.
And I guess some news in that story is that I think one of the characters, or not like a main character, but Donald Trump's dad is going to be like a character in this movie, or something's going to happen with Donald Trump's dad, or something like that. Like I guess it's based in that time period, or he's going to have some type of involvement with I guess what's going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's kind of I've been loosely kind of following it, but not too much.
Hmm.
And after that, he's currently in pre-production for a movie called I Am Pilgrim, which is about a former spy who is called upon to re-enter who was called out of retirement to assist in an unusual investigation.
And
But I
he's
just thought I'd give you that information on this guy.
mhm,
It's kind of weird because it turns out this dude's been making movies since like for almost 30 years. Like I did this guy's like I'm sad to say that the Ad Astra's I guess the first movie that's come up on my radar.
yeah.
I remember when Reel in the Night came out, but I never got around to seeing that one.
Hmm.
But it looked and I looked up the trailers for these other movies. I think Tim Roth is in that Little Odessa. I guess it must have been around Reservoir Dog time, little maybe after.
Hmm.
But so he's been making movies for a good long while.
Damn.
Yeah. And they're kind of borderline pretentious, but accessible. They're not like too pretentious, but they're not too boring either or too from what the trailers, I guess from what the trailers look like. But
Yeah. But then, so like, yeah, he's done some work, and I guess with the Ad Astra, that one maybe kind of brought him more into the light, I guess, or depending on his older work.
I mean, I'm pretty sure his movies. I'm like again, I feel stupid, but I wouldn't mind seeing some of these movies because I guess spoiling it. I like that Astra.
What?
So
Like, what?
yeah, I did. I kind of like this. So yeah, this wasn't gonna be like where we just bashed the movie.
I gotta change my notes then.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as good as the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that just came out on Netflix, but I liked it all right. But I guess without really getting too into spoilers, real quick, a brief overview of this movie. And well, the movie starts off with these words, like you know how like Star Wars starts off with a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
It turns out that they were going to use those two, that intro, but they couldn't. Nah, that's just bullshit. But I mean, they came up. I mean, they start off with the words in the near future, a time of both hope and conflict. Humanity looks to the stars for intelligent life and the promise of progress. And then the words fade out, with the exception of the words to the stars, because that's what Ad Astra translates to the stars. And the movie, like I said, without getting too spoiler heavy, is astronaut Roy McBride undertakes a mission across an unforgiving solar system to uncover the truth about his missing father, and his doomed expedition, now 30 years later, threatens the universe.
That sounds very ominous.
Yeah. So that's what it is basically, I guess. If you're familiar with Apocalypse Now, Tommy Lee Jones is in the Marlon Brando role, and that would put Brad Pitt in the Martin Sheen role.
Yes. Man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Okay, so that was just, I guess, basically a spoiler-free overview of the movie. And I guess before we get into the the actual play-by-play synopsis of like what happens in the movie, so if you're either going to be watching the movie for the first time or if you're going to rewatch it, I would just say pay attention to these themes when watching it for the first time or the next time. Um, Pay attention to light and darkness throughout the movie. I didn't really notice that too much on the first viewing, but on the second viewing, it kind of came up here and there, and then I wished I had paid attention to it more earlier on in the movie. But pay attention to light and darkness, the themes of emotion. Like these are just themes that go on throughout the movie, or at least things that are happening in my mind that I think are themes. Light and darkness, emotion, more specifically, toxic masculinity, protocol. That's a big thing that's going to occur in this movie, and it's going to have play some pivotal parts. Intelligent life. So I don't know. And again, I'm not saying I have the answers to this, and we'll discuss this later on at the end of this, after the synopsis. I wonder what your thoughts on this stuff are. Intelligent life, what they mean when they say that. power surges. What's the significance, or is there anything more to the power surges, or what's the deal with the power surges? Maybe possible religious themes in the movie. I'll tell you my thoughts, and maybe you have thoughts. I don't know. And the progress is mentioned right at the beginning, the time of hope and progress. So maybe like that's a theme in this movie as well. So just some things to pay attention. Like I said, if you're gonna watch this for the first time or you're gonna rewatch it, maybe these are some themes, and maybe there's other ones that you have. Maybe you can suggest to us. But just before we get into the actual play by play, those are just some themes I think you guys maybe consider thinking about.
Well, I'm hit recording right now. I can just chop this part out.
All right.
Okay, so that was pretty much the high overview of the movie Ad Astra. So now it's gonna kind of go a little bit more of a deep dive movie discussion, movie corner talk with the movie.
Well, I guess a little bit of what happens in the movie before we go into the deep dive, maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's what I meant. But because yeah, I guess in the movie it kind of starts off right off the bat where it's like a voiceover of uh, is it Roy?
Yeah, Roy.
My notes have Ray, but it's Roy. But uh, Roy's kind of doing a voiceover, I guess, or just like showing the thing with like Liv Tyler, his wife, and just basically saying that, at least from her
She
perspective,
talks too much.
the what?
That she talks too much.
Yes.
She has too many lines in the movie.
This won't stop talking.
Yeah.
But yes, what she, I don't think she doesn't say anything in the movie, right? It's just the like
No,
video.
she does. She has like there's a video of her later on in the movie.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the extent of it. Kind of flashbacks and the video recording. But anywho, she's just kind of going on about how she feels. Roy's is kind of self-destructive and just he's always distant, not there. And but to me, as he's still kind of talking, it seems like he just kind of has like this um, almost like Jedi mentality, where it's kind of like um, he's sort of focusing on the task at hand. No real major distractions. And, nothing kind of get in the way in regards to whatever he's working on. And he just at his best, he's always cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Simon and Garfunkel song "I Am a Rock," where he's an island and nobody touches him, and he's kind of just pretty cold.
Yes, and I guess that kind of um, worked to his advantage because at the very beginning of the movie, he saw like some giant. Um, it was an international space antenna. It wasn't a space station, but space antenna, and he had a near-death experience as there was a giant power surge that basically he was doing a space kind of a spacewalk, kicked him off, and he was basically plummeting to Earth. And without losing his cool and staying calm, he was able to get out of the free fall and basically safely land to Earth.
And I guess we should kind of get it out of the way now, unless you are going to get into it, but I'm not. We're not going to pretend to understand the physics of this or disprove this or that's physically impossible, or it's just, I guess our thing is mostly going to be on the story of the movie. Like, I don't, we're not going to debate whether this is physically possible or scientifically accurate or this or that, because we're not scientists and some of the shit might not be completely accurate. But yeah,
Yes,
so unless you want to get into the science of stuff, I'm not going to. So I'm just getting that out there right now.
that's all my report is on is the science of this movie.
Physics.
Yeah, the free fall and whatnot.
Yeah.
But nah, yeah, we can say that for another discussion. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of talk about more of the movie, the story at hand, and all that fun stuff. Um, but basically, yes, once Roy, Brad Pitt's character, he lands, he's basically taken somewhere where um, they're briefing him and they're more or less telling him that the what's causing these power surges that are, I guess, what getting worse are what seems to be the result of his father's project, his ship, I guess you would say.
Yeah, the Lima Project.
Yes.
Well, it's a lot of suspension of disbelief. That's, I mean, like I said earlier, I like this movie a lot. I guess I liked it pretty good.
Mhm.
It doesn't really, like, you just gotta accept the reality of this movie because yeah, for some reason, like they do these weird tests with Brad Pitt every so like after everything, checking his heart rate, his emotion. This kind of reminded me of the fucking Blade Runner test to see if they
Yeah,
were a replicant or more human than human or whatever. They constantly he has to do these tests.
to get a baseline.
So it kind of yeah. So they're constantly doing these tests on him, and then yeah, the power surges are happening. I guess that's kind of like one of the catalysts of what's going to happen.
Yes. And because it was what, 29 years ago, give or take
Yeah,
slightly.
I think 30 years.
Yeah, so about 30 years ago, his father was leading the it's called the Lima Project, where they went to the as far as Neptune to basically try and see if there was other life out there in the universe, and uh, they it just kind of the mission I guess went dark, and
Yeah,
they just I guess never really heard from them all that time. But they have reason to believe that with these power surges, something's going on with the ship and the Lima project, and they basically want to see if they can send Brad Pitt to Mars because that's the closest last remaining colony that can send a signal out that far to Neptune to see if they can reach his father to see if he can, I guess, kind of see what the hell's going on with the Lima project.
yeah, and they have like one of those secret meetings. It's very reminiscent of. I know you said you didn't remember too well, but Apocalypse Now,
Mm,
where Harrison Ford has a brief little part in Apocalypse Now, where they kind of call Martin Sheen into the brief him on what's going on, and they give him the dossier of Marlon Brando. And that's kind of what they do in this scene where they call him into that meeting and they tell him this and that, and they give him the rundown that they think his dad might be alive and responsible in some way for these surges. But it
okay.
was very reminiscent of like yeah, the Apocalypse Now scene.
Ah, okay, okay. And um, it wouldn't be a straight shot to Mars. They have to go to. They're gonna do like to keep it casual. They have to go to the moon first, and from there they're gonna get to Mars. And he's gonna be riding with um, Colonel Pruitt, which is played by Kiefer Sutherland, and they're kind of keep a low profile. What?
It's his dad, Donald Sutherland, not Kiefer Sutherland. Uh, so yeah, uh,
So it's not the
so
Lost Boys
yeah,
that we're talking about,
no, that's not 24
but
or Young Guns,
oh yeah, but
Flatliners.
how's it going?
Now Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, you should just let me go on with it. Yes, Donald Sutherland, the older, the father. There's Sutherland. Anyways, they're supposed to go together on this mission to go to Mars, but they have to first go to the moon. And as they get to the moon, uneventful, but they get there, and lo and behold, um, it's by like Virgin Mobile. That guys they went through his spaceship thing to get to the moon, and then they kind of show a shot outside. You kind of see like the billboard.
Applebee's.
Yeah, you see the billboard for Applebee's, and then inside it's like all very touristy with like you can take a picture with like an alien. There's like all these gift
Yeah.
shops, and um, it's just kind of like a monologue where Brad Pitt's just kind of talking out loud, just talking to us, the viewers, where he's like basically referring to humans as world eaters. We're basically escaping Earth to the moon or wherever else just to do the same exact thing, still have the same fast food chains and tourist things and all that. And so he doesn't seem too happy about it. It's just it's whatever. And um, they have to take a military escort to get to the dark side of the moon because that's where they're going to launch off. And right off the bat, they're kind of told we have to give you a military escort because the moon is basically like the wild, wild west. There's basically space pirates out there, and it's crazy out there. So um, they pretty much go on the lunar rovers, I guess. And they're on there, um, and sure enough, they come across space pirates, which is kind of crazy. And they didn't have any parrots or anything, but it's just still a thing. And
Yeah.
um, sure enough, pretty much their whole escort gets taken out.
Yeah, it was basically one guy, and well, I guess it was on that little rover was the one escort, military escort, Donald Sutherland and Brad Pitt, but there was like other, I guess, other rovers that were kind of protecting them.
Yes.
But just real quick too, I mean, I'm not into really action movies. I've kind of given up on action movies and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I really like this movie. Like it didn't feel like it was trying to be that like hardcore in your face, like, oh, we're an action movie. I know this movie didn't do too well in theaters, and I want to say it was an IMAX movie,
Hmm.
but it's not. Unlike the special effects or like the space effects and stuff look pretty nice. It looked pretty good, but it's not like it's overly trying to like shove your face into it. Like it's just
Yeah, it wasn't a
it
Michael
kind of
Bay
just yeah,
um,
exactly. I guess that's a good way to put it.
type thing, but it and it was along this time right before they got engaged with the space pirates. Roy makes another, I guess it's addressed to the audience or to himself, which is basically us. He's like, even we're managed to get to the moon, managed to have these colonies in space, but it's like we're still fighting for the same resources, and that's pretty much when they get attacked by the pirates, and it's a pretty subtle conflict. It's just like whatever type of space guns they got. It's not lasers, but just something that can shoot in no air or whatever.
Yeah,
But again, he's able to keep his calm. He's asking for a weapon, doesn't get one. The driver dies, and he has to basically get him and Donald Sutherland out of there. And
yeah. That's I'll kind of talk about that later on too, but yeah, once their guy dies, the driver, their escort, Brad Pitt just kind of casually just jettisons him off of the rover and just kind of tosses him aside like nothing. Like I mean he's getting shot at, but like it's like how there's no emotion in it. It's just he just grabs the guy and just tosses him off the rover, and he just takes the wheel.
yeah, and because once they get to safety, they get to the base. He's kind of like on the intercom. He's like, base. This is basically where you can find the dead captain or whatnot. But
Yeah, and
but
they shoot off some things and kill the pirates, right? They shoot off with these missiles at the pirates, and
pretty much, yeah. Because they're asking for, I guess, air support, space support, but
yeah,
it's space missiles. But um, they they survive that. They're trying to get to their ship, which was called the Cepheus.
yeah.
So I was trying to see if that had any meaning or whatnot, but I don't.
Yeah, I wanted to look more up into this stuff too. I'm pretty sure there is more deeper things into this, but
Yeah.
Kind of lazy.
Um, it was a time constraint. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But that's where they're heading. But then at basically the colonel is unable to proceed any further because basically it seems like he's having a either a heart attack or a stroke, something like that, where he just cannot go further to continue the mission. At which
Yeah, because unlike Kiefer Sutherland, Donald Sutherland's a lot older. So this was a lot of, and Kiefer Sutherland's pretty used to the 24 action that happens within 24 hours. He's had pretty adventurous days in the span of 24 hours. And Donald Sutherland's role, I guess, his thing, he was a friend of the dad and like a one of his colleagues, and he was basically sent on the mission to kind of babysit Brad Pitt's character in a way, and also kind of help facilitate the mission. But like you were saying, his heart couldn't hold up, so he decided to not go along on the mission.
yeah, and in doing so, that he basically gives Brad Pitt something he shouldn't have been doing, he shouldn't have done, but he did. He gave him like this fancy advanced version of like a flash drive or memory stick, something like that, and it was um it was a classified video message. No, it was. Let me see.
It
It was
was basically what Donald Sutherland's mission was. Like it was what they instructed him to do,
yes.
and I guess
Um, because basically, yeah, they figured out that the father, Tommy Lee Jones, he basically went rogue, and it's up to Roy to get the signal out to him. And if it goes well, then they'll go from there. But if for whatever reason, if the mission fails, they are to destroy the Project Lima ship.
and that's probably something too. Like I don't know what the origin or Lima is either. Like I'm dumb, so I don't know what that is. Like if, like these names probably have some type of significance besides just being like astrological things.
Yeah, but so he continues without him. He gets on the little the Cepheus, which is basically a ship full of scientists, not really military or not anything like that. And you figure it would just kind of be a uneventful trip to Mars, but surprise, surprise, it's not. And they get a distress call, a mayday from some Norwegian um, science craft, I guess. That was like a testing lab, and
Yeah,
from there, Brad Pitt's telling them it's like we have orders, we have to go straight to Mars, we can't stop. But the captain's like it's a mayday, it's something it's by law, I guess that's what they have to do. They have to see if they can assist, and they kind of give us stipulations like if you assume command of the ship, we'll follow your orders, but you have to tell us what the mission is, which is top secret. You can't tell them, so it's like fine, we'll stop. And
yeah. This was a very pivotal scene, I guess, in the movie. Like we can get into it a little bit more in detail later, but it, at least in my head, it was like it's a big changing point because it's this thing about protocol, like you were saying that it was like this thing, like they said, like it was these two protocol things clashing. Like the captain of the ship was like, we our job is to always respond to maydays, even if we like you're just a passenger, even though you're higher ranked than us. Our things is that we have to always stop for a mayday. And then he says, well, the only exception is if you take command of the ship, but then if you take command, then you got to reveal your thing. And Brad Pitt chose not to, and his actions are going to have consequences because he chose not to reveal his mission.
yes, and again, everyone's in high spirits. The captain, he's there, and he's trying to get his co-pilot, I guess. I don't know what his official rank is, but it's basically he's trying to get his co-pilot to go with him to explore the Mayday. But the co-pilot is very hesitant, doesn't want to volunteer, which Brad Pitt can um, detect, figures he's scared, he doesn't want to do it, so Brad Pitt's like, I'll go with you, and they they do a little spacewalk, get to the space pod, the Norwegian space pod, which I don't know what the thing is with Norwegians because if anyone who's seen the movie The Thing, it was Norwegians that found the alien spacecraft and they thought it out and bad things happened in that movie. Spoiler alert. So, um, yes. Anyways, this is a lab in space, and they split up trying to find the
Why
crews.
does every conversation you have eventually start talking about the thing?
It's a good movie.
Every conversation leads into the thing eventually.
Yes. If it's not that thing, it's the other thing.
Yeah. Who's on first?
But um, they what? So they pretty much they separate. It's from Brad Pitt's perspective, and he doesn't get any radio contact from the captain until finally he stumble upon his from the backside. He's just kind of motionless, and it's not until he gets closer that's when he sees that it's basically a baboon.
Yeah, I think they say primate, but same thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a primate, but specifically, I believe it was a baboon. Was basically gnawing on his face. It broke his helmet and was just kind of chomping on him. So, um, Brad Pitt was able to grab him right away, or if not, basically he had a scuffle with that baboon.
Yeah, like since it's in like no gravity or whatever, he pushed the baboon away or something. Yeah, I don't know. I remember what happened with the first baboon, but then there turned out to be two of them.
Yes, and he's able to kind of push it away, and they have he had like a space pistol, and he kills the first baboon. He's pulling what looked like he was still alive, but didn't seem like it. But anyway, who he's trying to retrieve his body. The second baboon comes, but he's able to lock the baboon in the other room, which it's trying to open the door, but he does something, um, pressurizes the room or something, or depressurizes it and kills the second baboon that way. And with good old duct tape, he patches up the helmet, brings the captain back to the ship where they tried to revive him, but it was pretty much he was DOA,
Yeah, it was.
and it wasn't pretty. His hand was all mangled, his face was kind of chewed up, and so yeah. Um, I basically at that point the co-pilot, which was nervous to begin with, is now the the new ranking officer, so he becomes the captain. And despite the death, they make it to the Mars. They're getting ready to land. In the process of landing, that's when they get hit with another power surge, which rocks the ship and I guess disables the autopilot, auto landing or whatever. And they're coming in too fast. They're not aligned properly, and it looks like they're gonna basically crash. And they're trying to get the captain to steady the ship. At least Brad Pitt is, and the captain's basically locked with fright. He just freezes up entirely. He's not talking, not responding, and at which point, um, at the kind of at the last minute, Brad Pitt's like, I'm assuming control. He switches to manual, and he safely lands the ship without incident. But he didn't want to until finally, until necessary, he did. And once he lands, he tells them it's like, I'm not gonna tell Spacecom, which is the the I guess the new NASA. That's who
Yeah,
they're working towards. So I'm not gonna tell Spacecom what happened, and so we'll just keep this quiet.
and I'll get back to that later on too, because that to me is pretty significant too. This kind of exchange that happened.
Hmm.
I'll kind of bring that up again later on.
Okay. And So with that, they basically are going to Mars. They're at Mars. They're getting situated, and he meets, I guess, the person running the Mars community. But they they basically race him to the area where he's going to be trying to reach out to his father. And it was a pre-scripted uh, memo that he's basically going to reach out to his dad. It's pretty, it's a pretty dry memo that he has to read word for word. And they tried it the first time, and he's like in a recording booth, and the other people went in the room right in front of him, and they're just kind of waiting for a response. And it doesn't seem like they got anything. So,
Yeah, because at this point, I guess it's been like, I guess again to refer to Apocalypse Now, like in Apocalypse Now, I think they're going down the Nung River trying to get to, or through Cambodia trying to get to Marlon Brando's character.
mhm,
This is, I guess, their voyage to try to get to Tommy Lee Jones. And at this point, the higher ups, the Spacecom people don't know that Brad Pitt got the information that Donald Sutherland gave him that he wasn't supposed to have. So Brad Pitt knows that it's kind of like the objective of what Spacecom wants to happen. And basically, Brad Pitt is not sure that Tommy Lee Jones is even alive. And they're just trying to get some type of communication. They're trying to get Tommy Lee Jones to respond to them to let them know that he's alive. And Brad Pitt's starting to realize that, yeah, they're just kind of using him.
yeah,
And like you said, they wanted him to try to get Tommy Lee Jones to try to like communicate with them through a scripted dialogue coming from Brad Pitt.
and yep, and uh, it it's to no luck. And they said we'll try again in the next cycle or something like that. And so they, I don't know if it's next day, next 8 hours, what have you, but they try again. Except the second time, he goes completely off script and he makes it personal. And he's just kind of reflecting on his dad, um, growing up as a kid, his feelings for his dad, and looks like one of the higher ups is trying to was gonna get ready to stop him, but the other one like no, let him finish. And he finishes his personal message of reaching out to his father, and he's basically waiting for them to see if there's any type of feedback, anything. And it looks like there's commotion this time. And um, they come into the room and basically kind of tell him it's like, uh, thanks, but now we no longer need you. And he's asking, well, did you get a response? And they don't want to tell him. And they basically said because of personal conflict with you being the son, um, you are no longer suitable for this mission, at which point they're going to send them back to Earth immediately. And but uh, it seems like very certain that they got a message, they got some type of response back. They just do not want to share it with him. And they put him in a what you call it.
Comfort room or something like that, or
Yeah, it's like it's this giant room that like gives semblance to Earth, I guess, for anyone who's just like been in space too long. It's to help them relax. And that's when the person in charge of Mars comes in there, tries to figure out what's going on because her parents were on that Lima mission, and somehow she had this secret video where um, she showed Brad Pitt where basically Tommy Lee Jones is confessing to the camera that on this mission on that I guess at least according to him, some of the crew didn't want to continue anymore, and they went on a mutiny, and he couldn't have that, so he cut off the life support to their wherever they were on the vessel, killing them, and that he was just gonna go on with the mission. So uh, this female director lady was pretty certain that um, Tommy Lee Jones killed her parents, and if he is dead or not, that they basically her and Brad Pitt are orphans of this same mission, and he's telling her he needs to basically try to get a he needs to get on the ship because he knows that the or she tells him that the crew from the Cepheus is going there and they have a nuke with them, and that's what he says. He's asking her like he needs to get on the ship because um, he needs to take care of his father. One way or another, he needs to deal with him. And she basically takes him to kind of like an underground tunnel system that leads to the rocket. And she's like, from here you're on your own, and like this is as far as I can take you. Which um, pretty much at the buzzard, he gets on the spacecraft before the thrust takes off, which would have killed him. And um, since he opened the hatch on the spaceship, they notice there's an alarms going off, and he announces himself. I'm here. I'm on the ship. I mean no harm. I want to basically help. And they're freaking out because he's not supposed to be there, and they don't even, they're asking control like, what do we do? What's the protocol? What do we how do we handle this? And eventually they just say neutralize him at any means necessary. Take him out, and another scuffle ensues. And all the while he's perfectly calm and casual. He's trying to defend himself. He's not fighting, but he's just trying to stop them. It's like, I mean you no harm. I come in peace. But uh, two of the three crew members are trying to attack him. One dies instantly because the spaceship takes off, and not prepared, she gets thrusted into the door, smashing her neck, I believe. And the other
Yeah.
the
I
other
was
guy,
gonna say too,
go ahead.
it was very similar because it was originally it was the four people on the Cepheus, not counting Brad Pitt, and then the original captain got killed. So then there's three people.
Yes.
So it looked very similar, and I'm pretty sure it was deliberate. But when those two people, not counting the new captain who was the co-pilot, the kind of chicken shit guy,
Yep.
go after Brad Pitt because they got the orders to terminate him, it kind of resembles the way the monkeys were, or the baboons. They're kind of going after him in a similar manner, and there was two of them as well.
Oh, yeah. And but yeah, and one guy comes at him with a knife. He's just holding him. He's like stop this. And the the new captain, he takes out his space pistol and trying to take I'll say a cheap shot at Brad Pitt, misses, and he punctures the fire extinguisher. And Brad Pitt at this point, he's wearing a full spacesuit, so he's completely concealed with his own life support, his own oxygen. But the fire extinguisher erupts, and I guess it's poisonous, and it goes toxic in the air, and it kills both the captain and the other guy trying to kill Brad Pitt. And while this was happening, he was trying to save the captain. He was, I guess, the only one who was within air support, and he tried giving him oxygen. He's telling him breathe, but by the time he got to him and got to the air support, life support, it was too late and he died. And he makes his presence known. He tells command, it's like, I'm assuming to control the ship. The other three unfortunately died. He's not trying to sound like a dick. He's just telling matter of factly. And to he basically goes dark at this point to not be followed or not have any situations arise. And I believe it takes 79 days to get to Neptune, to where Project Lima is at. And at this point, it's just Brad Pitt by himself, and he's just kind of going through the necessities of trying to stay alive for those 79 days. And he inserts like a feeding tube. He's doing stuff to stimulate his muscles, and but this time gives him a lot to reflect. And he's kind of thinking about his wife Eve, and um, he always felt distant from her. He's kind of like reflecting, I guess, where he went wrong in the relationship, and um, after a while, I guess it starts to take its toll on him with just of all that isolation and zero G's. And while he's, I guess, on this trip, he kind of just again talking to himself says like the son suffers the sins of the father, and he pushes forward until I guess he finally gets to Neptune,
Yeah.
and so he locates the ship and he's taking a smaller pod to land on Project Lima. And when he's getting close, surprise, surprise, another power surge happens and it damages his pod where he cannot connect to the Project Lima ship. So he has to eject from the pod and basically again spacewalk to Project Lima. And as soon as he gets inside, you kind of hear um, like I was not say classic rock, but you just kind of hear some music playing in the background, and there's just some just dead bodies just kind of floating around. Don't know how long they've been there, but there's just kind of dead bodies in zero G.
Yeah, I
And
think it was a musical that was on because the dad like Tommy Lee Jones liked musicals.
mm, that's right. And so I guess he Brad Pitt gets to the main area because it was some antimatter that was I guess was able to power the ship, and that's what they believe was what was causing the power surges. So he gets to that control room, and that's where he is setting the nuke. And as he's placing it, he hears his father's voice. He's like, "Is that you, Roy?" And he looks up, and on a catwalk, story or two above him, there's his dad. He's kind of casually just standing there, and um, he looks well. Tommy Lee Jones is old, but he looks a bit weathered, and he has a bit of facial hair going on, and not really making eye contact with Roy, Brad Pitt, and he's like, "Is that you?" It's like, I got cataracts now, so I can't really see. And
And real quick, it's my opinion that like yeah, he said Tommy Lee Jones is pretty old, but I think they deliberately try to make Tommy Lee Jones and the baboon or the primate look the same.
mm,
Because if you look at Tommy Lee Jones, he kind of resembles the primate.
and we'll have pictures. We'll try and I'll do a side by side or something that's kind of yeah show resemblance. And here they're just kind of talking, and Brad Pitt's kind of telling them, I'm here to take you home. It's like let's get out of here. And um, Tommy Lee Jones is telling him, it's like home. It's like this is my home. It's like we got a mission to do. And he explains here that there was that one mutiny earlier, but then the last loyal crew after 29, 30 years, they got no signals of other life. And I guess they're ready to throw in the towel and quit. And Tommy Lee Jones wanted to push on. They tried to suppose it was another mutiny, and the antimatter device got damaged in the process. Tommy Lee Jones killed the rest of the crew. It's just him, and as a result of the damaged antimatter thingamadoo, it's causing these surges. And Tommy Lee Jones is like, "No, still got a job to do, still got a mission," and he's flat out telling Roy, it's like, this is what I was kind of basically here to do. Like, I made your mom a widow. I made you an orphan. And it's like, I never really loved you. I didn't love your mother. And he's just, again, Tommy Lee Jones is saying this very just matter of factly, just kind of just like very casual. And despite all that, Brad Pitt's like, well, I still love you. And then we have to go home. And
Yeah, that was pretty intense, kind of pretty depressing as well.
yeah,
Because all this time, even though Brad Pitt was pretty cold, and I mean, you can see why he's pretty cold. His dad, missing his dad for the better part of 30 years in his life. and basically taking a career after what his dad was and taking an interest in the things his dad took an interest in. The dad just flat out to his face telling him he didn't care about him. He didn't even think about him.
Yeah. Um, so yes, basically, um, Roy takes his dad, gets him suited up, and they go on. They're trying to go back to Cepheus, and before I do that, Roy's able to collect some, basically copy, I guess, like a hard drives or whatnot of his research, and it's during this spacewalk that Tommy Lee Jones, they're tethered together, but Tommy Lee Jones is trying to break away. He uses his thrusters to try and get away, or at least tug on Brad Pitt to put him in a situation where Brad Pitt's trying to like, Dad, what are you doing? It's like, get back here, but Tommy Lee Jones keeps telling him, just unhook me. It's like, and they're not really shouting at each other, but
Yeah, he sent him to let him go. Let me go, Roy. Let me go.
yes, and
But,
go
and I
ahead.
guess that was both literally and metaphorically. Just let him go.
Yes. So at which point, um, Roy unhooks him, and Tommy Lee Jones is basically, you see him slowly, somewhat floating away or going in opposite direction, closer to Neptune or whatnot, and um, Roy's able to make it back to the to his ship, and he set the nuke off, and as he was waiting for it to explode because he was either low on fuel or out of fuel, and the explosion from the Project Lima was going to basically kind of help propel him back to Earth. And he says how many like light years, or how it was like over the billions of miles away, and
Yeah, again, I don't know about the science of that, and like I said, I try to suspension of disbelief on that stuff. But
yeah, but um, it sends him back. He's able to um, make his way back to Earth. He survives the blast. He's going there and he's kind of reflecting, and he's basically at going on talking to himself, talking to the viewers, saying that he's looking forward to his solitude ending, and he's hoping to basically kind of be the exact opposite of his dad, that he feels like he's a new man, and he lands on Earth, and he's I guess they could show where he's being picked up by the military, and he's now like, I guess, like at a coffee shop. Time passed, I guess. He's at a coffee shop and saying how he's gonna be a new man. He's gonna be open, and he's gonna live his life, and um, uh, be more open with his feelings, emotions, stuff like that. And that's when you kind of see his um, wife, Liv Tyler, kind of pop in the doorway or outside the window, which I guess in the previous memory looked like she was getting ready to walk out on him.
yeah, all right. So, what did you think of the movie?
Well, I thought the I thought the movie would have been it would have been better with Keith Sutherland.
What the? No, that's just stupid. All right, Keith Sutherland. You mean Donald Sutherland?
No, I mean, Keith Sutherland, the son.
Uh, the son. All right.
Yes, yes. But
No, but
I thought it was a good movie. It, it's obviously the big picture was, I guess, the Brad Pitt having to fix, I guess, the mess up of his father, but kind of like the part he said to himself, the son has to pay for the sins of the father, where um I guess he knew he had a hard time growing up, a harsh childhood, or pretty much almost non-existent father through most of his time growing up, and then I guess he kind of had an image of him because we didn't kind of talk about it earlier, but when the director was about to break the news to him of what his father actually did, he's like, "What are you talking about? My father's a hero." And she's like, "I hate to break it to you, but he killed a bunch of people." It was just a massive cover up because they didn't want the space net or whatever it's called. They didn't want to look bad, so it's like, we'll just paint him a hero and kind of sweep this under the carpet. But that kind of got popped for him, and then even him having to face him, it was a very interesting movie. Just the way it was done, I like the cinematography of it, um, and just the way yeah, it's Brad Pitt throughout the entire movie. Like he he knew he had to take care of this one way or another, depending on the outcome of what was gonna be with his father. And I guess he kind of did. It wasn't the outcome he wanted, but he was, I guess, able to still lay it to rest with, again, not the resolution he wanted, but he's more at peace now. And um, I liked it. It was a good movie. I watched it again the second time to prepare for this, and um, I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of stuff I missed this time around, but it was a good movie. I dug it.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I was surprisingly, like I said, when I first watched it, uh, I don't usually watch movies like this, and then just we had to use our movie pass thing.
Mm,
So I was surprised by it. Like, I'm not gonna say I wasn't unaffected by it when we watched it, but I like it. Like, it reminds me a lot of. I think it's a good Father's Day movie because it's just basically a boy trying to find his dad. Like, it's pretty. Like, I don't know. It's just it kind of reminds me of Field of Dreams.
mhm.
And like I said, Field of Dream kind of crossed with Apocalypse Now. If you build it, they will come. Ease his pain. I don't know if you remember Field of Dreams too well,
Vaguely.
but man, that's a good ass Father's Day movie as well.
Mhm.
But I felt like this one was appropriate for that too. One thing that I don't know, maybe you can help me come to terms with a little bit better, maybe not. I don't know. Like, what did you think about the ending? The ending, like, man, I don't know. The ending, I wasn't the biggest fan of at maybe at first. The second time around, it wasn't as bad.
Mhm.
I
Um,
guess my
like the part where he was reflecting about being a change man, or
not so much that. Like I guess like my thing when I watched it the first time, and like always, like I'm always an asshole with movies sometimes too. My big gripe was like they don't need to show us too much more. I got the idea. I got the point that he was changed and he decided he needed to head back to Earth, and it could have just ended there. Like whether he makes it or not, like I felt like they didn't have to show us him making it all the way back to Earth, him landing, and him deciding to change things.
mhm.
But I mean, the second time around, it didn't feel as bad. But the first time around, it kind of gave me a bad taste. Like, God damn it! Like, I get it. He's changed. Like I don't care if he lives or not. He at the end decided he was gonna go back. He untethered himself from the dad, and he's gonna go back. But I don't know. Did you think the ending was okay or too much, or like it just? I don't know.
uh, I, I thought the ending was good. I mean, it was maybe like, yeah, like a little sappy with the whole Liv Tyler coming back at the coffee shop or whatever. But I guess that's probably why they put that on there. It's to add that little extra fluff for the ending. Um, but I guess it allowed for him to, with more of his monologue, just again to say how he was changed and how he was gonna live a complete opposite of how his dad was, like just to solidify that he's not gonna follow in his footsteps quite that way anymore. So
Yeah,
I feel is appropriate.
I'm still not on board with it as much. I mean, second time around, like I said, a little bit more because I guess it kind of bookends because it's just weird because in the beginning of the movie it starts off him crash landing to Earth, and at the end the same thing, but it's a different scenario. The first time he was real cold, and like it was like the second time he was born again. I guess he was glad to have the people reach for him, and he was glad for the human contact and glad to be back on Earth. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think I needed to see that
Hmm.
because, like I said, at the end when he realizes he needs to get back to Earth, to me that would have been ending enough.
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, like okay, he instead of him, like I said, I don't know about the science of it, but in like literally 5 minutes or less of screen time, he's back on Earth, and it's like, what the fuck is that from Neptune?
Oh
But
yeah, but
whatever.
uh, they didn't show yeah exactly like how long it took for him to get to Earth, but we didn't need to sit through the 79 plus days of him
Yeah,
doing all
no,
that.
I get that, but yeah. Anyway, that's kind of right off the bat. The first few couple things I was thinking about,
Hmm.
and then like I said, um, second time around, it's kind of hard. Like I said, now it's weird. So in 2019, not to make this all about me or whatever, when I saw this movie, I wasn't a father yet, and now I am, and so it's kind of hard to watch movies a little bit now, but just because my daughter's always wow wow wow, and it's kind of hard to focus on stuff. But the second time around when I was watching it, not during the beginning, but like sometime during the, I'm trying to think of it when it kind of saw it. Well, like Light and Darkness, I should say. Just next time if you ever do see it, or if it's on TV and you're watching it from the middle or anywhere,
Hmm.
the light and the darkness play like it's very much like it's the cinematography is very well done in this. And like I mentioned earlier, this is based off the book Heart of Darkness, which I'm not too familiar with. I know it also inspired Apocalypse Now,
Hmm.
but space is the darkness, right? In this movie, the space is the darkness.
Yes.
And I guess in darkness, it's hiding. Like even earlier on, I noticed Donald Sutherland asked, he said that to Brad Pitt. I don't know if you caught on to that. He told Brad Pitt, you also have to consider the possibility that your dad might be hiding from us. And like Brad Pitt had a good facial reaction. Like you're not sure if he realized that for the first time or if he didn't want to realize that that was the actuality or he might have considered that himself. But yeah, Donald Sutherland says that yeah, that he might be possibly hiding from us. But during different moments when Brad Pitt, like you'll notice the light is very like in colors, like the red and stuff,
Hmm.
like in different scenes. There will be light shining on Brad Pitt's face after pivotal moments, and like maybe after realizations, because again, like jumping around, um, this movie is very like weird with like it doesn't give you the time frame. It just says sometime in the near future,
Yeah.
so you don't know how much in the future it is, but it's just kind of out there. So you don't know how much time is it's been. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it is. But before we get into specifics with the light and darkness, like you mentioned earlier, like emotion, like with the Jedi, like Brad Pitt was very like his emotions, like he was very robotic, and like it just like I don't know if it came across accidentally or subconsciously or what, but the director like emotion, like it just seemed like this new future world was very, or at least the men, like this is a very men driven movie. Like there's very few females in this movie, and like I said, we joked Liv Tyler was very minimalistic, like she just barely spoke a few lines.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I know the word gets thrown around a lot, but the toxic masculinity, like where men can't have emotions, and Brad Pitt was very much that guy that couldn't have emotions. He was very like robotic, and it like I don't know, like was it weird to you, or like was that just because I guess the way it seems to me, because there was a couple of other guys, like I guess that's the other thing, like the protocol and like these company men or these lifers, like these guys that are lifers at their jobs. Like there was the military escort, that one that gets shot by the pirates.
Yep.
Like they make sure to show, like Brad Pitt makes sure to show, he sees that picture of that guy, he has his wife and his kid, like a picture of his wife and kid. He just got killed, and Brad Pitt just looks at the picture and like, man, this guy had a family, a wife and a kid. And like that guy was just doing his job. Like protocol is almost like a religion or something. Like these guys are the guys that follow protocol. I know protocol's kind of been in the news of late with like the Uvalde thing, but like these are guys of protocol. And the same thing with that big old dispute with the when he got on the Cepheus, the Mayday call.
Mhm.
It was like protocol. Like I don't know, like it just seems weird. Everything just seemed cold, and like when it came to like this job, this like it's being in space, the space com or whatever the fuck these people were called.
Yeah, and for the most part, all of them were military. I forgot what branch Brad Pitt was, but it was some type of military army thing or another. But yeah, it's like you got to follow the orders, and it's like motions or I guess only get in the way kind of thing. But
Yeah, and again with the lighting, and like I'm gonna bounce back with it, like and kind of combining it with the protocol theme.
mm,
There's that scene where he gets on the Cepheus, and like I said, that's kind of a pivotal point where they get the Mayday call, and Brad Pitt had the choice. He could have told the captain and them what his mission was, and they wouldn't have gone on that Norwegian plane. And that guy, the captain, would have been spared. He wouldn't have gotten killed. And like if you look at the lighting in that scene, it's like the lighting in the ship is all red. It's like almost like foreshadowing that okay, bloodshed's gonna happen or something's gonna happen inside that like something's gonna happen.
mm,
And it's not like all accidental. Like, and then you look at the co-pilot, the guy that was kind of scared. This like in that scene, Brad Pitt's in the red and the captain's in the red, but that guy, the sun is shining on his face, the co-pilot, and it's like he's scared, and it's like I don't know, like there's just different things that go on, and then like when Brad Pitt sees the monkeys or the primates, I shouldn't say monkeys, the baboons or whatever, that's like a pivotal scene. So like instead of it just being like a scene of oh this fucking happens, like it's just to fill up time, this is like the thing that kind of changes him. This is where his emotions start kind of coming out a little bit more. He starts becoming more human and less robotic, because I think the two baboons or whatever were supposed to symbolize him and Tommy Lee Jones, like this unevolved robotic. I gotta blindly follow my commands, and I'm a company guy. Like no evolution in that. Like they're just blindly following,
mm,
like they're what they're told to follow. They're just like, so I think when he killed off those two baboons, it was like a pivotal point because the captain died. And it's just kind of weird too. Like I know I'm bouncing around, but when the captain died, they just said their little prayer and then boom, released them into space. Like kind of like the way the other guy died, this devoted soldier guy when he got shot by the pirate.
yeah.
Brad Pitt just tossed him aside, and you see his picture of his family and whatever, and it's just like it's just real cold. And after that, I think I had took a picture of it. I'll send you like Brad Pitt is doing his test thing, the Blade Runner thing where they ask him how he's doing,
Mhm.
and he starts talking about feeling rage and stuff like that. He's felt rage for the thing, and he's felt, remember when his dad felt rage, and then in that scene, there's sunlight shining on his face. So like the sunlight, I guess, is maybe the truth, or maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the opposite of being hidden. It's like making things to light, bringing things to light.
Mhm.
So when you watch it, or if you do watch it again, like pay attention to the sunlight.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And there's scenes like that where the light is just like at pivotal moments. There's also the scene like where after the lady from Mars shows them like the underground tunnel, Brad Pitt is, he's going to be like, he's like, and I'll send you the picture too.
Mhm.
Like he literally, the sun is like right by him. Like Brad Pitt is both the sun, SON, and the sun, SUN, the light. Like
Yeah.
things changed after the primate incident, and you'll notice like light and stuff kind of shines on it differently, or maybe throughout the whole movie there's like light and darkness are a theme going on in here. And not that I caught every single one of them, but there's things like that that go on.
Yes. Mm.
And then I was just going to ask you too, what do you think the, like, I know they kept saying intelligent life as a generic term, but that could be a lot of different things. Like, what do you think? Do you think it was like at face value, or do you think intelligent life was something else?
I know for Tommy Lee Jones, his character is probably straightforward, just looking for intelligent life. Because in the beginning of the movie, when Brad Pitt is trying to get to Mars, when he lands on the moon, both encountering the space pirates and just seeing how the moon's just full of gift shops and Applebee's and all that. He himself is kind of shitting on the human race, and it's like calling them Earth eaters and it's basically parasites, and that we're just trying to escape one one means for another and still kind of keep it all the same. So um, I think even he was kind of saw in a cynical way the humans, and especially like with the space pirates saying that we're this far into the future, and yeah, we're still doing the same thing. We're still fighting for the same resources. So um, we're not really that evolved, despite able to space travel. I think for Tommy Lee Jones, that it was probably, yeah, trying to look for e- extraterrestrial life, and yeah, it's just even had Brad Pitt not came to him, or had, yeah, the surges kept going, he probably would have kept doing the same old thing until either the ship blew up or ran out of power or whatever.
Like I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's face value stuff or not.
Hmm.
It also kind of reminded me of fuck. I don't remember how it goes for in Fight Club, where I know not, I know it was making me think of Fight Club because of Brad Pitt or not, but where he goes, our fathers were models for God, and if our fathers failed us, what does that say about God? And it kind of just made me think of that. I don't know if that's like some other famous saying or philosophy thing from something else, or if that's a Fight Club exclusive thing the writer of the book created or whatever. But in a way, like this, like another theme of this would be disillusionment, I guess,
Hmm.
because Brad Pitt had this faith in this father and this system, this being an astronaut, this military thing, and it all went to shit. Like his father didn't really care for him. And when his father did finally meet him, he was like, he looked at him as like more like he goes, man, like you're a good worker or whatever. Like we like he saw more as Tommy Lee Jones saw more potential in him as like working along with them instead of us missing out on him as being a son. He's like, we could have accomplished great things like in the space as like another co-worker or whatever on this mission, not so much as a son.
Yeah.
And it's like this disillusionment, and then that harkens back to the emotion theme and the toxic masculinity because Brad Pitt can't really have emotions. It's like he's without the dad, so he grew up into this monster that can't have emotions. So this world almost can't have emotions. I don't know.
I think that
And
sorry, but I think that's also probably how Brad Pitt growing up. Because I think at some point he mentioned he saw his father upset or mad at one point. He didn't get into great detail, but um, it was kind of going into that whole masculinity thing where yeah, men don't show emotions. They bottle up their feelings inside and they don't cry and they just like I guess the old ways or of how it is to be a manly man. We don't do those kind of things.
yeah, exactly. And that's like kind of like I don't know if that was intentional or not, or because it did like I mean it had to be intentional to a certain extent because Brad Pitt doesn't like in that part you're talking about is after the primate attack where it's something the sun is shining on him and
Hmm.
he started talking about the rage and he's felt rage and it's like he's kind of evolving. He's trying to break away from being this like unemotional robotic asshole. Like he's and that's why too shortly after he told like how you mentioned in the summary he told that the co-pilot guy, I won't tell Spacecom about this. It's like, oh man, like you figure Brad Pitt's like, oh, by the book and everything, and he decided, okay, he's not, he's like, he's it's kind of showing his shift to where he's seeing like the disillusionment and that this stuff isn't, and then he realized too, like shortly after that they're just using him, like this whole thing that he devoted his life to, almost like Tommy Lee Jones devoting his life into this thing. And it turning out that I guess the final message on the thing was I don't know, remember if you mentioned or not. The final message from all the data was there's no intelligent life out there that like we are alone in this universe according to the this movie anyway. And
Yeah.
it's just like this toxic masculinity and like when Brad Pitt couldn't feel things like yeah it was almost like frowned upon for him to have emotions. And literally when he finally broke the tether from his dad he was able to release break free from him and he started screaming, but you can't really hear him screaming because he's in space and he has his thing on. So he's like he's screaming and he's crying, but it's to deaf ears. He can't hear it. And then I guess that's what shows. And then he's like, and it's interesting too. Like I took a picture of it. And it's a shitty picture from my phone, but Brad Pitt is kind of just there, like kind of just in the moment when his dad just fucking broke free and his dad's gonna die, is floating off to nothing. He didn't. He refused to come back home. Like he could have at least tried to go back home with Brad Pitt, but he didn't. And then Brad Pitt says some shit like, "Well, what do I do now?" Like he was almost like giving up. And then by some cosmic divine thing, like it's pretty badass. Again, look at the light and the picture I'll send you. Like it's not the greatest, but like Brad Pitt was confused and like he's kind of like just giving up. And then this light, like as if it was the light of God or something out there, the intelligent life that was out there, the sun or whatever, shines a light onto the ship. And that's when Brad Pitt realizes, yeah, he has to try to make it back to Earth. And the light is shining on it, like it's like a real beautiful shot, real subtle. And the sun shines on the ship, and that's when he decides, okay, I'm gonna try to head back to Earth. And then it's just like he realizes he's human, like he kind of broke free. He's like he's evolved from the dad, from the primate. So make sure you kind of check that out when you see it again,
Mhm.
like the light shining on the ship or the explosion. I forget the fucking thing that happens at the end where he makes it explode and that propels them towards back to Earth or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because yeah, we could that was I guess the whole thing too with him and having little to no emotions because he was able to survive these near death incidents. He was able to react or take action without having to hesitate or anything like that. But in doing so, it obviously put a strain on his marriage. And there's some I forgot the when he was talking to himself when he was like he was he's not much of a liar or something like that, but he went on with it anyways. Where you basically saying he would have been better off just letting Liv Tyler leave or not or just like being done with her, but he decided not to and just kind of string her along. And um, he just decided yeah to be with the I guess yeah, with whatever military program that he was with, he just that was his purpose, that was his goal. Even though he was married and whatnot, and when they were kind of pre-psyching him in the beginning of the movie, he said like I'm married but no kids, and they were kind of surprised, and he's like, well, this is kind of a harsh lifestyle or something like that. It's like nope, no, don't want to bring any other members involved or dragged into this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of sad because like Tommy Lee Jones did that and he didn't give no shit about it. Like he didn't care for the wife or him, Brad Pitt. And I don't know, like it kind of reminded me of like Cotton Hill. Like Tommy Lee Jones would be like a Cotton Hill, and Brad Pitt would kind of be like the Hank Hill character,
Yeah.
where Hank's like the good son, but Cotton is never good enough for Cotton, and Hank can't really have emotions, and he's kind of damaged because of the way Cotton is. He can't be too emotional or whatever.
Yeah. But Tommy Lee Jones had his
Well,
shins.
he killed fitting men. He killed maybe not 50, but he killed a bunch, I guess.
Yeah, depending on how many crew members were on that ship.
And no, even more than that, I think the surges weren't they killing people on Earth or something? People getting
Oh yeah, I was like probably thinking
causing,
the thousands.
yeah.
And with that, like, do you think Tommy Lee Jones? Because he said his eyesight was kind of bad. The antimatter device was kind of damaged. Do you think he had given up, or do you think he was like how at some point he basically said this is my home. Like, do you think he was really going on with his research, looking for life out there, or like he just um decided that this is his fate, just to be here in space that and on that ship alone?
I think he was hiding, like they were saying, and like to be honest with you, I don't know, not to make it too personal, but we both have the same dad. But it was kind of like I don't know, like when I first saw it in the theaters, it kind of affected me because it's like sometimes I mean everybody has that person that's like a relative that's older that they can't communicate something to them or that they something that they won't let go of and something that they hold on to and there's no like evolution in that. It's like you need to let that go, you need to let it go, like evolve beyond those old ways. And I think that's what Tommy Lee Jones was like, kind of like there was no country for old men here. Like he couldn't evolve and he wanted to seek out intelligent life, but he wasn't really seeking out intelligent life. He was just seeking out this world that doesn't exist because it's like the time is gone. Like people have emotions, people need love, and people have families, and people like evolve. It's not like you can't just hide. Like,
Yeah, times are changing.
yeah. And like, it's just sometimes like it's hard to communicate to some people where it's like, that shit's, it's done, it's old, you gotta let that shit go.
Yeah.
So I think that's what kind of like his he was just more in hiding or trying like it's this world wasn't meant for him anymore. It passed him by. Like he so what world would he come back to? That's why he didn't want to come. Like the world that he would have come back to was a world he didn't want to be in. And then a possible other theory I was thinking of too, unless it was like some I don't know, it's loose, but I always see religion in a lot of stuff. Like I don't know what if it was like a God and Jesus thing, or Tommy Lee Jones was like the God and Brad Pitt was like a Jesus, a Christ figure or something like that along those lines. Because it was kind of interesting, and like I don't know, like I would have to watch it again and take notice. There's a couple of times where they mention God, and then there was this time when Brad Pitt comes on and he goes, "Jesus, Roy, is that you?" or something like that. And then when, like you say, you first saw Tommy Lee Jones is like real high up and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I don't know, like I might just probably be reaching for that. But that's another theme too, like I was saying with the disillusionment, because he did like Tommy Lee Jones was saw by he was really like godlike to a lot of people, and he was held in high esteem or high regard,
Yeah,
and he was it was a sham, like he wasn't that person. It was a lie, like it was so I don't know, but
cause yeah, cause when he got on the Cepheus for the first time, the captain was praising him. So, oh, we have a celebrity on board, and he's the son of a legend. And so, do you think that was part of the reason why he didn't assume command, or was just because it was protocol and he didn't want to taint his father's image to the crew, or it was just like, yeah, the mission objective, it has to be top secret, it can't tell them.
no, that's an interesting point. But I would go with that. It was just Brad Pitt because, like I said, things to me, at least in my head, the way I view it, that's the changing point. Not at that point, but after the events of the primates,
Yeah.
that's the changing point where he realizes this protocol shit, the thing that I'm devoting my stuff to, I have to keep it top secret. It's top secret. Like if say it was something else, it wasn't personally about his dad. I don't think he would have conveyed the information to them anyway. But maybe that's hypothetical. But in my head, I don't think he would have.
Hmm.
But after that, he kind of starts realizing the absurdity of like having to be so like hardcore about protocol and like not revealing that it's top secret or the top secret mission.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, just watch the way the light is, and like the light starts shining on him differently. And then I don't know.
Because yeah, that makes sense. And because even with the death of the captain, he was still calm about it. Because yeah, he had to do that eval again. Like you said, he said he was angry, but I mean, doing his psych eval thing, he wasn't like screaming, or he wasn't even like, he kept his tone of voice still the same. It didn't change. It didn't alter. I guess it was how he handled his anger at that point.
Yeah, and the test even allowed it. Like even the test realized at a moment like that that that's acceptable.
Yeah, because the only time he failed the eval was when they were gonna kick him off Mars and send him back to Earth. He was trying to see if his father responded, which they didn't tell him, and that's when he failed his eval and like, we got to get you out of here. I don't know if that's what the evals, if that's part of the other thing where he was conditioned to not show emotion or keep his emotions in check so he can continue doing his whatever space missions and
Oh
pro.
yeah, most definitely was that because when he goes into that meeting, like I said, for the first time, when they ask him about the kids and stuff, then make sure like the camera shows him looking around to see who's in the room and how they're taking notes and how we should respond. Even with Donald Sutherland, he asked him, "Are you babysitting me, or is this off the record, or whatever? Like, am I being tested right now?"
Yeah.
Like he is always in that mode. Like he was never able to just be free of that.
Think through most of the movie, he looks not necessarily a serious expression, but it was business, all business, and like I don't think I ever really saw him smile in the movie.
He looks like a primate. Him and Tommy Lee Jones are the two primates.
It was a good movie. Like I didn't mind watching it again. I probably wouldn't mind
I would
watch it again.
yeah, I would watch it again too, but it's kind of long. But that's the only kind of I don't mind it. But did you mention the deleted scene?
No, I did not. What deleted scene?
You didn't see the deleted scene or like the post credit scene?
No.
It changes everything. It's a game changer.
What is it?
It turns out that this movie is a sequel to Space Cowboys. Wasn't Tommy Lee Jones one of the astronauts in that movie?
Yeah, he was the one who sacrificed himself. And
Yep.
Keith Sutherland was in that one too.
Was it Donald Sutherland or Keith Sutherland?
Donald Sutherland.
That
No, it's
was.
Keith there. It was the dad. You're
Yeah, he would have
confusing
been.
me.
Keith Sutherland would have been even younger then. Yeah, that's right. They're both space cowboys, and was who else was in? There's a god damn it, gotta look that up now. Who the other guys were? James Garner, I think. Fuck, I don't know.
What was your
You
take
can do a
on
double feature,
Yeah, what was your take on Space Cowboys?
dude. I had a much worse taste in movies back then. I saw that movie in the theaters 2 times. Yeah, that's how much I liked it, and I'm ashamed to say that, but I probably would not watch that movie again.
No, I'm getting you for your birthday or Christmas.
I think it was because Gabriel was working at the theater, so he got me in there two different times
Yeah.
to see it.
That
Yeah, Space Cowboys.
was a fun movie.
No, it wasn't.
You liked it.
Yeah, I did.
The only thing missing from that movie was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage was in the movie.
That's what I said. The only thing missing from that movie,
Was Ben
Nicolas
Affleck?
Cage.
Hey, wait, was Tommy Lee Jones in Art? No, that was Bruce Willis. God damn it,
In what?
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Hey, that could have been another Space Father's Day movie.
That also had Liv Tyler.
We're just gonna start making fucking connections. Part 4 of the video. That Tyler's dad was Steven Tyler, who was an asshole. Kevin Bacon has an asshole. So there's our 7-degree connection to Kevin Bacon.
That Let the Tremors. Oh, they thought the graboids came from space.
Oh, didn't the critters fight the Tremors?
That's probably in number 7 that's yet to come out.
Yeah.
What say you? Is this a good stopping point for Ad Astara?
At Astra.
Astra?
Yeah. So for this Father's Day weekend that's coming up,
Yes.
if you have a dad that's worth a damn, make sure you wish him a happy Father's Day. Throw the football, throw the baseball.
Make that phone call.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Thank you.
But yes, this will conclude the Ad Astra with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, you're Kiefer Sutherland. I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Let, let us know what you think of our mostly put together movie discussion, movie corner. If you have any other random thoughts, conspiracy theories of the movie, or tied to any other movie that's involves space or cowboys or Liv Tyler, let us know. Augie the Froggy here with Obviously 2003. Have a good one.